Hello, Ridley Scott calling for George Lucas. This is the George you're calling for. George, I wanted to ask your advice. I just ruined Robin Hood for everyone, and it felt really good. But it's not the same as destroying your own franchise. That's how I felt after Howard the Duck. There's no feeling like murdering your baby. I was thinking of doing a prequel to Alien, and I remember how much everyone hated Phantom Menace and that. So how can I fail to recreate the magic of a late 1970s sci-fi classic? Just think of a question that nobody cares about being answered, and spend the whole movie answering it. You mean, like, why does the 1979 Alien look like a fella in a monster suit? Ridley, you failed to do it again. Maybe it's Martian piss. It's the Prometheus Watch Along.
Woohoo! All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Tom Steward explaining exactly how Prometheus came to be.
That's based on historical documents.
Hello and welcome, one and all, to the Everything Sequel podcast.
Well, both. It's both. It's Everything Sequel and How Dare You, because this is a monstrosity.
It was nominated.
Oh, that's good. Tell us about that. I didn't know.
Make no mistake, Prometheus was nominated. Shit, what year did that movie come out? It's
2012.
12, right?
Yeah. Are you looking this up live?
Well, the thing that I remember more than anything, of course, is that it was nominated for Biggest Disappointment.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
You and I literally were just talking about there is not a movie I was looking forward to more that disappointed me more than Prometheus.
Right.
I mean, I can't even begin to describe how completely on board for this idea I was, how excited I was.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I want to say 20 minutes in, I was like, oh no. I think I have to give up hope right now. So
I remember seeing in 2012 upon release and thinking that I was underwhelmed with it as an Alien movie. Mm-hmm. Having watched it nearly 10 years later in the last few days, I'm fully prepared to say this is one of the most atrocious movies I've ever seen. I was nearly looking forward to rewatching it, thinking, that with this amount of time passing.
Does that happen to you where you think maybe I was in a bad mood, maybe I was wrong, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, it's dated even worse than it premiered.
No.
It's such a strange set
this
of
is how I'm taking care of it.
Well, that's how they do it in the movie as well. True. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because we on the watch along we pick movies that are difficult to classify as sequels. That's right. That's our USP. But here, that's not even the point. It's like whatever kind of a sequel this is supposed to be, it doesn't work.
Right.
If it was an origin story, doesn't work. Soft reboot doesn't work.
Exactly. Right.
Anthology, in-universe anthology doesn't work. It's like
it doesn't matter if it's any of those, a prequel, a sequel, an origin, an origin story. All it is a bed shitter.
Yes. And I guess you then you start asking the questions of why did this happen? Like why what combination of errors led to this?
Right.
And the biggest one, the kind of the signpost for me was it's a great example of you can't go home again. This is Ridley Scott returning to the Alien franchise after, well, how long is it? What, like 30 years?
Yeah.
And
30 plus.
30 plus years. And, you know, he's not the only director of his generation to make that mistake. George Lucas, as we saw in that that historical reenactment I did earlier.
As you aptly portrayed.
Steven Spielberg as well, with just, you know, a couple of years before with Crystal Skull. Same thing.
Skull, yeah.
Yeah. So that's, to me, that's the biggest headline, but I feel like there are other culprits here.
I remember seeing an interview when Crystal Skull was coming out where George Lucas said, it doesn't matter, everybody's gonna hate it. Yeah. Like everybody's just gonna talk shit about it. And Spielberg said, whoa, this is not my feeling at all. Like, I think people, you know, and I think Lucas was of the mind of people just want to beat up on a movie that comes back after a long time, which is not the case at all. I don't think. If you make a good movie, we'll be extremely happy.
Yeah, and I think in retrospect, you know,
but in that case and in this case, did not happen.
But I mean, in the case of this and Crystal Skull, my feelings about Phantom Menace are kind of mixed. But certainly with this and Crystal Skull,
of the three, I think Phantom Menace is the best.
Well, it has a vision and it sticks to it.
True.
Right? Whereas this and Crystal Skull, you know, is a sort of there's a sense of like you want to replace what you did originally, but there's no sense of what you want to replace it with. Is my kind of strongest feeling is this. But that doesn't mean I mean, this is a really ambitious movie in lots of ways.
It is, yeah.
But it's a complete and total misfire from start to finish. I mean, in my opinion.
Okay, so, well, first, as this caveat, it was only nominated for one How Dare You award. It did win Biggest Disappointment.
Yeah.
And you know, how could it not?
Yeah, and at that point, you've got to look at is this movie a victim of what came in between this and Alien? You know, like not only an entire Alien franchise, but also, you know, Alien spin-offs, Alien versus Predator, 2 of those movies. Right. Ridley Scott's canon, you know, Alien and Blade Runner sets a kind of the standard that, frankly, he failed to keep up. I don't think many people would argue against that. There's also the fact that Ridley Scott, with his brother Tony, was working in TV prior to this. We've gone all the way from practical to CG effects, you know, in the space of... So there's a lot which, you know, could trip up this movie without anyone really knowing it, because the world in so many ways, whether it's the world of the filmmaker or the filmmaking world, has changed so drastically around this movie that you're very unlikely to get something that has the same impact as the original Alien. But
let me ask you this. Is it worth talking about Covenant? Where do you stand on... I haven't seen
Covenant.
Okay.
I'm a little scared. I have a little bit of trepidation about that.
That movie feels like a do-over to me.
Well, I mean, from what I know about the storyline of it, it does seem to be like, not that this is Alien to the Alien movies, but it does seem to be like go back to the drawing board, not following up with the same characters, you know, like only keeping what people liked.
Right.
Which again is like, you know, this is what it's what George Lucas was going for with Attack of the Clones, wasn't it? It's sort of like, you didn't like this, so that's gone, and let's do something else that you won't like.
I've got all brand new shit you won't like.
Yeah, but I believe the reaction to Covenant was fairly positive.
Yeah, it's not a terrible movie. I mean, but it just
Wow,
it
that really lowered the bar. Prometheus really lowered the bar, didn't it?
it did. You know, it felt like the movie that I think people wanted this movie to be. But
Right.
because it was in answer to this movie, it still falls below a bar of success that I mean, he just dug himself too big a hole, I think, through this movie.
But I mean, if you look at this in context, how how can you I mean, how can you engineer, speaking of engineers, how can you engineer a movie that disappoints when the last Alien movie in the series was
Right.
Alien versus Predator Requiem, and people are, like this, people aren't coming out of this movie happy, and that's your last, that's the last Alien movie you've seen. This movie must have done something horribly wrong to
Well,
not
and if you take
redeem
this
that.
right, and if you take the spin-off out of it and just leave it to um Alien, what is it, Requiem?
Resurrection.
Resurrection. Get them all confused now.
The French clown version of Alien
Right, exactly.
that we
The
were all
ennui
hoping for one of these days.
albino version of Alien, sucked out through a window.
What would Alien be like were it performed by Cirque du Soleil?
So, yeah, I mean, and the thing is, it's like
That's a whole lot of disappointment. You
right.
think you could come up with something that would improve upon that?
Improve upon that, exactly. And then so the thing is, and I guess the other thing that really bothers me is, like, as slick as this movie looks and ostensibly is, it's still garbage.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Did this movie feel to you uh like Ridley Scott's philosophical wet dream?
That I'm going to say this now. There's way too much theology in this movie for
Right.
my taste. And you know, I don't have a problem with defying audience expectations, even within a
No.
franchise where you think you get it. It's perfectly fine, I think, to
But if I'm halfway through
subvert that.
if I'm halfway through your movie and my only recurring thought is get off your high horse, asshole,
Well, I mean,
then you're bothering your audience.
I had so many moments watching this movie this time around where I was like, this doesn't belong in a science fiction slasher context. Like, and if you're trying to do something other than that, you need to do it more competently.
Or in a separate story too. Like, I don't know why we attached this to the Alien franchise.
Yeah, I mean,
although I don't know, I should hedge on that because, like you said, like if you're gonna like, it's not out of bounds to try something completely different, but but to have it not work as much as this doesn't work is
yeah,
it's offensive.
It is. It's certainly offensive, and yeah, it's. I mean, the other, and remind me, did Damon Lindelof write Covenant too?
I'd have to go back and look.
Okay,
that sounds right to me, but
because I don't want to lay the blame squarely at Ridley Scott's door because this is an awful screenplay.
Yeah.
And I mean, I am not a fan of Lindelof at the best of times. The kind of lost leftovers phenomenon's pretty much washed over me.
Mm-hmm.
But when I watched this movie, even if I didn't know that he was coming from TV, every kind of interaction in the movie is like, what I would call basic cable dynamics. Like every characters interact with each other as if they're in like a high-end network or basic cable TV drama.
Right.
And there's a place for that. And I love that in context. But here, it looks really like you're out of your depth, especially with such a big cast.
Right. I'm not seeing his name on Covenant.
That might explain a lot.
Yeah.
Because there are moments in this script where they have to tell you the subtext because nothing in the writing is telling you that subtext exists.
Right.
They have to tell you what the scene's about because there's no evidence in what people are saying to each other or the situation of what is actually going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's
But the other thing that well, no, I'm still looking at Covenant because there's like a total of 6 writers on that thing. So that's also, but it's 2 of them are credited as characters created by, 2 of them are story by, and then you've got 2 people working on the screenplay. But
there was also a short movie that tied this, and a digital short that tied this and Prometheus tied Prometheus and Covenant together, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
With Naomi Rapace.
Yeah, see, and
repacing her role.
Yeah.
As Dr. Elizabeth Shaw.
Yeah, and having her on board along with the rest of the cast all felt smart and great, and the idea of it, like on paper, this is such a great idea and is going to be great. And so for me to fall as hard as it did on its face, was rough. I got to tell you, because like I was putting our poster together. I looked at the poster and saw Charlize Theron's face and thought, she's in this?
Oh, yeah.
Completely forgot.
Yep. It's a completely forgettable performance. And there's so many really good actors who are in thankless roles in this movie, more than any other movie I've seen.
Benedict Wong
in particular.
Sean Harris.
Yeah.
Idris Elba. I mean, come on.
And, aside from I think, in the end, it comes down to lots of bad writing and directing decisions. But I'm not putting this at the actors' door, but I don't think the actors are anywhere near as good as they could be.
Right, yeah.
Even the performances that sort of work, like Michael Fassbender, there's so much unmined potential there. Mm-hmm. It's actually kind of sad what they gave him to do, knowing what he can do and knowing what potential playing this early version of the Ian Holm, Lance Henriksen android could be. They want him to do a Peter O'Toole impersonation for the whole movie.
That's great.
Not even an Ian Holm impersonation or a Lance Henriksen impersonation. They want him to bypass that and go pure Lawrence of Arabia.
See, and at least give us the Peter O'Toole from My Favorite Year. I want the Peter O'Toole who packs nothing but booze bottles in a pair of socks. These must be his drinking socks.
Having not seen Alien Covenant, I can still entertain the notion that he goes through all of Peter O'Toole's roles in the span of the android's lifetime. So by the time they find him on that planet, he's there with a cigarette lighter telling stories to David Letterman on a talk show about Richard Harris.
That's amazing.
So it's just it's a shame, is what it is. And
it really is. And do you have any sense Do you have any sense of because I find it fascinating that one more movie came after this.
Yeah, 5 years later, yeah.
But it was exactly. That's what I was going to say. But it was 5 years later.
Yeah, that struck me.
And that to me is striking because, like, look, this is a movie with like $130 million budget, and it did not quite make that much money back in the USA, which is usually the bar for Hollywood studios to tell even Ridley Scott, you can go fuck yourself now. We're done with those.
Wow.
Now, maybe because it did better overseas, it's like $400 million worldwide. Maybe that's enough to say, okay, go ahead and make another one. But it's just interesting to me that, like, do you have a sense, do you remember any kind of aftermath of this coming out? Like, I mean, clearly it didn't have good word of mouth. People didn't like it. Like, but it seems like the movie entered into a place where it just went unscathed into a kind of a black hole because they were able to make another one.
Yeah, and I think there are points especially towards the end of the movie where I don't know if it's recognition of, you know, this isn't satisfactory, or you know, we want to have a sequel or what, but there is a sense of, like, you know, here's some questions we will answer if you give us another movie, which I mean,
yeah,
you know, Lindelof is not J.J. Abrams, but he's worked with him, and that's a real J.J. Abrams move of, like, I'll answer this in the next movie. You got to give me a next movie, though. So I think there is a sense of, like, you know, it'll all make sense. You know, if you let me make 3 of these, you know, there'll be the ongoing story will make sense. Because there are moments in this movie where characters have to burst into the room, shout exposition for us to even know what's happening.
Exactly.
And it's still
memories of
that entirely clear
from almost a decade ago.
It's still, I will tell you, it's still not entirely clear. because you know, I took, you know, even in 2012, you know, I felt I'd seen through this movie, that all the theological stuff, all the kind of creationist stuff, that's not what struck me about the movie. That it you know, I came out of the movie and thought, well, that's a 2-hour plus movie explaining to me why the alien in 1979 has legs.
Yeah, right.
And I know that the reason he had legs is because it was a guy in a suit.
Yeah.
It was a production fact. So, and you know,
doesn't it seem like, why do you have to bend over backwards trying to explain that to us?
And you know,
it just is, like, and just accept that it is, like, that's that creature. We don't, you know.
Yeah, well, someone who's just seen, you know, a 2-hour plus movie that is the Rogue One to 101 Dalmatians, Cruella. I completely agree with that point of view. But I also think, so there's that issue, which is, it's absolutely right. Like, why do you need to explain it? But the other issue is, if you're going to explain it, actually anticipate it. Because, I mean, I don't know if I remember thinking this in 2012, but watching it this time, I was like, oh, it really is just, it's not even a scene. It's like a post-credit sequence almost, in which
right.
the alien is created.
Mm-hmm.
The alien of Alien is created. So clearly that's not the objective of the movie either. That's why it's like, it doesn't work as an origin story, because that's like tacked on, literally looking like it's from a trailer for the movie.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's just like a coincidence.
Oh, man.
Like, this mission coincidentally created the alien that we've seen in all future movies.
Well, Let me take a quick moment to tell our audience, if you're listening, we are going to be watching this on HBO Max, friends. So get there, and we'll be pushing play soon.
Yeah, we
Uh,
have to. It is not a short movie.
no, of course not.
But you know what? I remember it's not as long as I thought it was going to be.
Well,
You
so
could
I'm
get away
seeing,
with like 3 hour movies for this
yeah.
kind of a movie at
I
this
mean, it's
point in
2 hours
history.
and 3 minutes, almost 4 minutes. I'm surprised that it's not 2 hours and 24 minutes,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
I'm being honest,
yeah,
like, so for a movie that seemed to have no restraint, it had that one restraint. I'll give it that.
yeah. Because 240 to 3 hours was about the standard for a blockbuster movie at that time, I would say. You didn't get many.
Yeah, I guess I mean, if you think about the Potters and that kind of,
Yeah,
certainly those.
exactly.
Yeah.
The well, Ring. It's a bit late for Rings, but Hobbits.
Yeah, Hobbits.
They're not short, are they? They're not, right? Well, I'll say hobbits themselves are short,
Well,
and the book of the Hobbit is short,
that's what
and the
I thought.
movies are
That's
neither
what
of
I
those
thought what
things.
your joke was.
Oh, that was an
And
unintentional joke.
I was disappointed that it made me laugh as much as it did.
Well, that's what puzzled me. I thought he's found something in here that's hilarious. It can't be that just hobbits are short.
That's it.
Okay.
You went for the most obvious joke, I thought,
Yeah.
and it pleased me.
Right.
I don't know, friend. I mean, do we have anything left that we need to prep the audience for in anticipation of
I think we got. I mean, it's
this
there.
shitbag?
Get you will be. I mean,
I'll do my own prep. I'm gonna.
I'd be interested to know genuinely if there are people who think this is like a
Russian River IPA, everyone.
Like a maligned masterpiece, because I think I think Ridley Scott was trying to make a movie that would eventually be seen as a maligned masterpiece. But that would
You mean like he was consciously thinking people will hate it at first and love it later? Or not? It didn't even like love it later. Doesn't even matter. Like
he kind of put it out into the world, thinking that it would people who came would be on board with this from day one. I think that's where the philosophy part comes into it. That in years to come, people are going to see that the theological
how deep it is,
the theological debate that goes on here with Guy Pearce in zombie makeup for some reason. And on the level of actors, the Charlize Theron thing, by no means you will forget certain people are in this movie. Mm-hmm. Guy Pearce is another one. I completely forgotten he was.
I did not forget Guy Pearce, mostly because of that makeup.
Yeah.
That makeup wouldn't let me forget him.
No, quite.
All right.
Yeah, well, no, I think just, I'd like to say that kind of going back to it after 10 years, some of the nuances of the film rose to the surface, but actually I would say that the incompetence of the movie is what struck me upon this viewing.
Wow.
So I wonder what I'll get this time. Maybe I'll get a whole different third time round.
You're going to say, I stand corrected. This movie is brilliant.
I'd love it if that was the case. But I just don't think whichever way you kind of break it down, however you interpret movies,
mm-hmm.
you've got to say that there's something there's a machine in the middle of this that is dysfunctional.
All right. Well, first, let me compliment you on your helmet and star work.
This helmet
It looks amazing.
So I'm gonna probably.
I remember that helmet.
Probably anticipate a scene in this movie in the immediate future when they take off their helmets before they've really decided that was a good thing to do,
right?
A safe thing to do. So I got to say, having worn this for approximately 20 minutes, I'm with them. Actually, now I understand that decision. It's not nice to wear a helmet.
Now you get it.
When you don't have to. So I understand that scene in a new light. Having worn it for 20 minutes, I would be wanting to take it off were I in that situation.
In your situation right now, you know there's oxygen.
Well, they knew it was breathable. They just didn't know that you could get aliens in your eye.
True.
Because
aliens in your eye.
That's what happens. He gets an alien in his eye.
God damn this movie. All right, everyone.
I'm going to take it off now, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Oh, good. I was starting to get worried for you. I thought you were going to
take it off. Having done a whole routine, I will replace it with the other signature headwear of this movie, which is a hood.
All right.
A lot of hoods in this movie.
Man, prepped and ready.
Look at that.
I am
optional headwear.
Shockingly unprofessional in this grouping.
Well, you said like unprofessional. I mean, it's easy when you don't have a life and you have access to children's toys.
Perfect. All right. Well, I'm ready. Are you ready?
Yeah, I got to say yes against my better judgment.
Audience, I hope you're ready. Ladies and gentlemen, the Everything Sequel podcast presents the Prometheus Watch Along in 3, 2, 1, go. Even the blueness of this 20th Century Fox logo seems...
Now, this was like a Mandela effect moment for me. Like in the back of my mind, I was like, "Oh, all the Alien movies mess with the logo. None of them do. This is the only one so far." And this is also the peak of that great Family Guy parody of the studio logos, where you keep thinking it's the beginning of the film and then it's just a different logo. Never has this looked more like that than this series of logos. Oh, well, that just seems intentionally misleading.
Yeah, see, I don't know Dune Entertainment. I always get nervous when I see production companies that I've never heard of.
Brandywine as well is suspicious. It sounds like they make, movies about white and black people in the South getting along against all odds.
It does sound like that. Already it feels self-important. Listen to the music.
Mm-hmm. This is like the score that Jerry Goldsmith wanted to do for Alien that was changed because it wasn't Alien enough.
Because it wasn't good enough. Hey, is Charlize Theron? Is she a android as well?
No.
Damn it.
But they anticipate that.
Do not remember her in this movie.
At one point, they actually have a line in where referring to that. And I don't know whether that's like in response to her acting style or not, but someone asked her straight if she's a robot or not.
I forget. Is this Iceland that they went to?
Oh, for filming? Yeah. And nothing will convince me.
Because it seems like Ridley Scott was like, listen, it cost a lot of money to get here, so we're going to show
it is Iceland. It is Iceland, yes.
Yeah. See, I remembered that.
Because when you get to the credits, the Iceland unit looks like the names look like they're from
The Olympics.
Like a slightly racist sketch from Blazing Saddles about people with Scandinavian surnames. Now, the flying saucer's never a good sign.
No. Is this where the guy falls in? Does that happen?
Well,
minute one?
It's a bit more than that.
Okay.
But essentially. Now, I always thought this was Earth. I don't think this is Earth.
Oh, no, I didn't. I never thought it was Earth.
Okay, good.
Yeah, this guy.
Emo Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel has been indoors too long.
I was gonna say albino Vin Diesel, but
that's better. And he's got the death papaya.
Oh, see, I remember seeing this in the theater, and even in this scene, thinking, I have a sneaking suspicion I won't care.
Oh, it's a poisonous death papaya.
See, like whatever he did, to me, seemed like a bad idea at this point.
Well, someone watched CSI.
Right.
Just feels like movies of this period love that kind of going inside the body shot. He becomes part of the earth.
It's in the water supply now.
Yeah.
See,
it's a great cold open if you're making a science documentary about life cycles. Not so much for an alien movie.
All it left me with was questions. Why did he do that? Why?
To either create life or destroy life, I'm still none the wiser.
And that, well, of course, and then the title.
The title, Prometheus, which again, I don't really know why it's called Prometheus either.
It's like the story of creation or something, right? The gods and.
Well, Prometheus is, yes.
Yeah, I mean,
but the movie, yeah. Very casually back on Earth, even though we've never been on Earth in an alien.
It's like
movie.
a servant of gods.
Yeah.
Do I have that right?
Yeah. So here we are on the Isle of Skye.
And I think unwisely gave man fire, and then we've just been up to shit ever since.
Well, someone unwisely gave Ridley Scott a camera.
See, and here's the other thing, because
mufflers. I don't want mufflers in my alien movie. I'm sorry.
Because that whole first scene feels like it's on another alien planet.
Yeah.
And then you have this scene, and it's feels like the same place, but they tell you it's Scotland.
Yeah, that's why I was confused. Like you assume that they go from that scene to this scene because it's the same place, but nope.
What year did that say?
Oh, 2080 something.
See, we're starting to hear like music from E.T.
Absolutely. I think these cave drawings are remarkably easy to understand.
I wonder what that means.
There should be some level of there should be when it's that long ago. There should be some level of like cultural translation.
Right. Give me James Spader looking at hieroglyphics and saying, "No, you got this wrong and this wrong."
Right. Even Stargate understood that.
Even Stargate.
Fucking Stargate.
Even Emmerich knows that.
I don't know how she's getting all that from that. They want us to come and find them.
How did you
that's
read
a
that
man
into it?
pointing at an alien.
Yeah, that's just a man who saw some shit in the sky. That thing's moving fast.
Shooting star. So disappointing. Like Ridley Scott being the man who made space weird and cool. I don't know, just to have a shooting star is like from a Disney movie or something.
2093.
Yeah, time moves faster in this movie than in the entirety of the Alien franchise so far.
Right.
We've already like skipped a decade.
So,
is this Tron Legacy? What's look at that headset?
I was just going to ask you. So, what's your feeling on sequels that come out, decades later, and have to contend with the effects abilities at the time the first movie was made compared to now, and how they try to justify it looking so much different?
Yeah, that's a huge problem in this movie. Even if you suspend disbelief because you know it was made later and it's obviously going to look slicker. There's no way that this is before Alien.
Yeah.
In terms of how the technology and style and culture is represented. It'd be impossible to devolve from this to what we see in
Alien.
Yeah. And that's where like Phantom Menace is sort of makes some weird sense in that this was like the golden age and what we've seen as the dark ages.
Yeah.
But there's no sense here of
that.
Well, it's like, how can technology get worse? If we've gone further as a
basketball recurring theme. We saw that in
in Alien Resurrection.
Sigourney Weaver's last Alien Resurrection.
It's weird. Like Ridley Scott's referencing a lot of things from Alien movies that he didn't direct.
Right.
Like, because he did the first one, I think he thinks he owns all of it. Like, I think he thinks all of it is his.
Right.
Because he's just liberally using stuff from Resurrection, from Aliens, as if it's all his. It's like, no. All that stuff was done after you. This is one of the scenes in the movie that's actually grown just because of, the context of quarantine. Like, all the stuff he's doing in, all the space boredom scenes ring a little truer.
Yeah.
And here's where he watches Lawrence of Arabia, and then the rest of the movie he speaks like Peter O'Toole.
Well, who wouldn't want to be?
Like, of all the characterizations he could have, why that?
Who wants to play on that pool table? All the fucking balls are the same.
Interestingly, the lead female character in this movie is called Dr. Elizabeth Shaw, who is a Doctor Who companion from the early 1970s.
Yeah.
So someone who involved in this movie is a big Doctor Who fan, because it's actually Dr. Elizabeth Shaw there too. She is a
little homage,
a government scientist. Yeah.
All right.
And obviously they're not beyond homage to mid-century British pop culture, clearly making Michael Fassbender pretend to be Peter O'Toole for 2 hours.
I'm seeing a little note here that says that first scene is known as the beginning of time sequence.
There's Charlize.
Hey.
Wearing, and this is something that's hard to account for. How did we go from wearing bandages as underwear to what Ripley's wearing in Alien, the tiny the little panties?
What is he, a dumb android? What do you mean?
It's also weird to me that.
What do you think casualties means?
That hypersleep sickness. We just saw this in 2010 movie that we recently did. So I guess at least they're, you know, they have hypersleep sickness. They're not getting up and putting a cigar in the mouth and
right. So the technology changed.
I guess in that instance, the technology got better and more fluid. Yeah.
Right.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought of it that way. Here's Idris Elba's character in a nutshell. He likes Christmas. That's all you need to know about him. Never goes beyond that. The dialect coach on this movie sucks because Idris Elba passed as American for years before anyone knew he was British. Here I can totally tell he's a guy from Hackney pretending to be American.
And now we've got the murderous guy fighting Ethan Hunt.
That's right, yeah. He's also played 2 separate historical figures called Ian.
All right.
The lead singer of Joy Division, Ian Curtis, and and Moore's murderer, Ian Brady.
Now, here's a question for you. Well, one, is this guy the poor man's Tom Hardy, or?
I have that exact thing there. I have not Tom. I refer to him as not Tom Hardy throughout the entire movie.
2, is one of the legacies of the sequel to Aliens, is because even more so than the first movie, the sort of band of misfits, all working together. You know what I mean?
Here we go. Never seen anything never seen hologramic technology this sophisticated in the future.
Nope.
For some reason, I feel the need to record my dog too.
Now, does Guy Pearce have to apologize for playing an old person and not being old himself?
It's surreal, and it really, like, at the end of it all, it really adds nothing.
Right.
Like, why didn't I mean? And I mean, it's not just aging makeup, is it? He looks like Julian Glover when he drinks the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
In Last Crusade.
I was gonna say he looks like yogurt.
Yeah. But there's no, you know, there's no reason for him to be like look like Granddad in Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Right. Yeah.
But there's also no reason it should be Guy Pearce who's playing someone.
So far.
Like, there's no reason to cast someone so young.
As young.
And there's no flashbacks. I spent the entire movie thinking, oh, there'll be a flashback where we'll see him young. Nope.
There isn't?
I don't think so. I don't remember
thinking of the second movie. I don't know. They weren't briefed before they left.
Oh,
they all just got on a spaceship without knowing why.
Pretty much. In the future, we will project everything with colorless Rubik's cubes. And this is something that you get in a lot of movies at this period, where that deal with futuristic technology, is the air flicking.
Uh-huh.
I think we thought the future would be the Nintendo Wii.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Yeah, there we go. Air flicking.
Yeah.
We don't think we do that so much in movies anymore. I think
it's the Minority Report effect.
Yes. Benedict Wong has a look on his face. It's like, I'm going to get fucked in this movie. I already know it.
I'm fully aware.
I've been messed around in some movies, but I'm the Asian guy. I'm as low on the totem pole as it gets. Oh, Rafe Spall.
Mm-hmm.
I like all the actors in this movie in general, not in this movie, apart from Rafe Spall.
Okay.
There's a lot. I don't know if I'm seeing fewer movies now, or he's just disappeared a little bit. But there was a time when he would appear in literally everything I wanted to see and ruin my enjoyment of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is.
And I subsequently
there is no praise.
No. And he's Timothy Spall's son, and I love Timothy Spall.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like he's the like the B-movie version of Timothy Spall. It's all that sort of trying to be cartoony and real at the same time that only Timothy Spall can do.
Okay, right.
I actually found out subsequently that he went to school with a friend of mine.
Uh-huh.
And the stories he told about him only confirm my feelings. I'll say no more than that.
All right.
But that's a real sign of the times as well. Rafe Spall popping up and ruining my enjoyment of a movie.
I love that there's just no end of dislike for you to a numerous actors from your home country.
It would be, I mean, my feelings towards him, my negative feelings towards him have lessened the less I see him. So it's about people being pushed in your face, I think that's the problem. It's one of the worst things about Hollywood when any actor gets any kind of currency. They're everywhere for a short period of time.
Yeah.
You can't escape them.
Like in the late
Tiffany Haddish, can't escape her.
Can't escape her. Late 90s, early 2000s. Everybody decided Anne Hesh had to be in every single movie.
Yeah.
And I don't dislike Anne Hesh. I just don't understand how we decided.
Yeah.
She's in everything.
I think Rosie O'Donnell was one of the trailblazers for that. Like, she's just going to be in movies now. Someone decided.
We're going to put her with the Stakeout Boys.
So now they're introducing you to the piece of machinery that's going to save her life later in the movie, the medical pod thing.
See, shake, shake, shake. The lack of dynamic between these three actors right now is alarming, and I blame Ridley Scott.
Absolutely. In a scene that is only in the movie to show us the medical pod. Mm-hmm. Because that's what she'll use later to get the alien.
Because that's what she's going to. You're right.
Yeah. It's like, it's like a Bond movie.
Uh-huh.
Q gives him the gadget. Oh, he's going to have to use it at some point in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But this is actually more egregious than that because the scene pretends that it's about something else.
About anything else, right?
Now, I know it was a deleted scene in Aliens where Ridley stood in front of like the hollow wall, you know, where she looked like she's outside, and then she turns off the screen. And it was only in the director's cut, but I'm pretty sure that was new then in that period of history. So the idea that you have them now just doesn't work.
Somebody
What are we
turn on a
doing?
light in this fucking spaceship.
It's like, how are we doing is a good question. Another great question is, what are we doing?
Right. How are we doing?
Imagine that, like, there he goes, he puts his hood on. That's his space covering. Jesus Christ. It's like the peak in film history of people talking not in their native accent. Hey, you're going to be American. You Australian guy, you're going to be British. It's like they just give them randomly as they come on set. That kind of looks like Alien Resurrection too. That open cockpit thing. Do you think Ridley Scott has only seen Alien Resurrection?
I was just gonna say the same thing. That his only frame of, like, he never watched anything else. He just watched that one 100 times.
If you watch this in that light, not that I'm going to watch it again through that lens because I can't. It sort of makes sense.
Nobody's home.
It's literally it. It's a meaningless statement. Imagine that, having dialogue in a movie that another character turns and says, "Oh, what does that mean?" And they go, "Nothing."
What are you talking about? Nothing.
Nothing.
Don't worry.
That's what that exchange boiled down to.
Did he say 1 mile pork bow?
Yeah.
Like a bow bun made of pork?
Port bow.
Okay.
It's a naval term.
I heard pork.
You know what? If he said pork bow, I don't think the intelligibility of the movie would be affected. If he just said pork bow at that point.
Because then you could go like Airplane, pork bow, and then somebody just delivers him a little snack.
I'd take it. In this movie, I'd take it.
Yeah. No. I'd like to make a tragic mistake quickly.
Yeah. I don't know why you're messing around with your helmets. You're going to be taking them off in 10 minutes. Why do they have an inner helmet and an outer helmet?
So we can see their names.
Do they have their names written on there?
Yes.
So it's like a party game.
Right.
Michael Fassbender has like Peter O'Toole written on there. Who am I pretending to be? Do you remember Alien being suspenseful?
That's so funny you say that, because I literally was just looking at the time, 28 minutes exactly into
No.
one. And I was thinking the exact same thing. I was like, 28 minutes in, has anything of interest happened?
I just remember in Alien, every moment counted and everything was full of tension.
Yeah.
That they did.
Well, and that's the other thing that goes back to effects, because remember how sort of slowly moving and stocky and kind of city-like that the Nostromo was?
Yeah.
And when they set down, they can't even set down without shit going wrong that they have to repair for like a day.
Yeah.
And everything's just so easy here.
Even though they have no foreknowledge of what they're...
Ethan Hunt is a dead man.
You know, do you remember what this guy's job is?
Nope.
What would you guess from how he's behaving? And
are we talking about the
Evil Ian? Yeah, Evil Ian, the Ethan Hunt bad guy.
Is he a geologist?
Yeah, he's a geologist.
Yeah.
He seemed a little bit of a tough guy to be a geologist. Good memory, though. Wow.
No, I just based it off what he was just talking about. I'm really upset.
Me too.
At how forgettable a performance Charlize Theron has here. If for no other reason, then she'd won an Oscar by this time, hadn't she?
I have that note for a later.
So,
in a later scene, I said, was her entire motivation being a spoilt brat? And, on an unrelated note, how did she win an Oscar? I also have a note that asks, did Ridley Scott really direct Aliens? Alien, not Aliens. He didn't direct it. Because he seems to have forgotten how to do both body horror and suspense, which are the two. It's like, made me think, did someone else direct Alien? Because there is no evidence of that here.
See, like even that shot right there, like it's a medium range shot, but they're already in frame. Like, why not see their light beams coming up over the hill and then see them walking up? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, the situation couldn't be more suspenseful. You literally don't know what's around the corner.
Yeah.
But you feel none of that.
Don't worry, though. It's about to be completely mapped for you.
Oh, I never clocked that. He's howling like Rutger Hauer in Blade Runner.
Mm-hmm.
Is that why they put that in? Is everyone just acting out stuff from other movies?
It's a good thing that this hologram builds on the ship where they're not at.
So the only reason the Nostromo didn't have access to this technology has got to be that it's got to be like because they
were a mining,
just a mining. I don't know.
Deal.
Someone has to go back and retcon that because that's a big.
It's a big mess of a hole. As Chew would say, that's a hole.
It's a butthole.
That's what I would say.
Can't imagine what you'd make of this movie.
Yeah.
I don't think she'd make it through to the alien being created. What was the first thing you said? Outside, it's completely toxic.
Right.
I mean, when they take their helmets off, it might seem like a footnote, really, just to make make it easier to tell the story. But the problem is, from this point onwards, I don't care that any of them die, because
because they're too stupid.
If they're stupid enough to take off their helmets without really knowing what the atmosphere is and what's in there, they deserve to die.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I demand they die for this story to make sense.
All of us are taking our helmets off.
That guy over there took one breath and it was fine.
And it was good.
It was a good breath. That scene was like total basic cable.
Wow.
We don't know what to do with these guys. Let them have a bet that never pays off.
Right.
That'll take us to commercial.
And his voice never changes, does it?
Who? Evil Ian. No.
Yeah.
Look at how it looks between his fingers, kind of like an alien mouth, but it's not. It's just a visual coincidence. What if that was the only alien reference in the whole movie?
Right?
Actually, it's one of 3.
Let's put our helmets back on. I've got a bad feeling.
They act as if they'd never seen a hologram before.
Right?
They just had a fucking hologramic PowerPoint presentation.
But remember, Tom, that was on the ship.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Damon Lindelof, you make perfect sense. Maybe they should have had a conversation where one of them says, have you ever seen Back to the Future Part 2? You know where they're watching the past, but it's not really happening. He looks a bit xenomorphy.
Right? Son of a bitch.
Sounded so London then. They need to fire their dialect coach.
Rewrite this movie.
And and the dialogue coach. Nobody's motivating anyone to say or do anything good.
Nope. There's lots of rocks down there, though, bro.
I just love this idea of like a maverick geologist.
Yeah.
I'm just a geologist. I like rocks. I love rocks. You two clearly don't give a shit about rocks. That's dialogue in this movie.
That's amazing dialogue.
Each of these characters has one or less things about them that is distinct.
What's funny to me about that dialogue is A, it was written, then he delivered it like he did, and then that was the choice that Ridley liked and that the editor accepted.
Yeah.
The yelling bits.
Mm-hmm.
2 days.
Still warm.
Yeah.
This acid's still warm. To be fair, you took your helmets off and you didn't know whether that was safe, so
yeah,
let him open the door.
So what do you care now? Where did you think it would be?
That is the forehead of Mark Strong.
Oh, yeah. You definitely want to take it in.
Mm-hmm.
There's no biological reason not to. Oh, man. I can't remember, Tom, exactly what happens next. I think it might be Alien in the Eye. I remember it being very offensive.
See, those canisters kind of look like the eggs in Alien.
Mm-hmm.
If you uncross your eyes, they're sort of the same shape. It's like someone has like drawn over H.R. Geiger's paintings with a black magic
marker. If I just Sharpie this, I can make it with a flat top. No tension.
Right.
They've been inside a cave where aliens have been.
It's very clear that Ridley Scott wants to do the same scene from Alien in an entirely different way. Unfortunately, he's taken something good and made it not good.
Right.
That's the big difference.
I know you're an android, but quit touching shit that's sticky. Have some sort of self-preservation mode. Let's get out of here. But bag the head. That won't work against us.
I don't even remember this guy being introduced.
No.
I'd be able to see better if there wasn't holographic projections on my windscreen. And that looks like an egg in a bag. If you uncross your eyes, it could be Alien. But it's not. It's a head in a plastic bag. Being vacuum sealed.
So she just acts like an android.
Yeah. So basically you get the sense there's a twist.
Does that guy bring something back that he shouldn't have? Does poor man Tom Hardy? Does he do something stupid?
I think it's Lorenz who brings brings the bad thing. But not Tom Hardy's got an alien in his eye.
Right. You know, because we took our helmets off.
Yeah.
So all of this could have been avoided if we just, followed basic Space protocols.
Is this planet belong to Skeletor? You see
Right.
that cliff? It's like a Skeletor face. Or the mummy.
I got to tell you, that storm moved in quick.
Yeah. And again, you'd think with such a time crunch, this would be a more suspenseful sequence.
Right?
Ugh, they dropped the bag with the head in. Literally one thing that you don't want to drop. These guys are such
She's
idiots.
dead. She's dead. Let's make it clear. She's dead. That bar she had went through her.
You always felt like the characters in Alien were vaguely competent, right?
You what?
You always felt that the characters in Alien were competent.
Right.
Like, they could do the job they were there to do. They took their helmets off, got lost in the spaceship, and then dropped the thing they brought back from the spaceship.
I don't even understand what's happening. Didn't he already close the door just 10 seconds ago? Are they outside the door? What's
They're
going
outside
on?
the door.
I
or
thought
are
she
they
got
in?
blown inside.
They're inside the outs. They're outside the inside.
I quit. I quit.
They're in the airlock. Okay, well, wherever they are now, it's safe.
I'll say. Hey, you're the one that took your helmet off, jackass.
Aren't they back yet?
Seriously? They just got lost in the cave?
Got lost in the cave.
I don't think they're too smart.
They really need to bleep that? Don't people swear in this movie?
Is this movie PG-13? Is that why?
You can still say fuck, right? You know?
Once.
They wanted to save their fuck.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So you say.
Then let's proceed with literally no caution.
Let's start cutting that thing open.
So this is... Did we know beforehand that that was a helmet, not the head? Or is that a retcon? Because we see
that's
those
a retcon.
creatures in Alien, right?
Well, we see like a giant one sitting. Doesn't it feel like it was bigger though?
That too, but...
You know, sitting down in the chair?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
But we there was no sense that that was a helmet and the real alien was underneath. Yeah.
No.
Thought not. They actually also nicked that from an episode of Doctor Who.
Yeah, a state of change, which seems dangerous. Put it back in the fucking thing where it's locked up.
That sounds like a bad idea, tricking the nervous system. I'm no scientist, but anything that is playing God is probably not a good idea, right?
Right.
I don't get, even though they explain it later, I still don't understand why not Tom Hardy is so disappointed. The thing that we were trying to do is happening, and now it's bad.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Maybe we should have kept it in that box.
It turns out it was filled with poison, everyone. And when did he become a raging alcoholic?
When he discovered an alien civilization and it just wasn't fucking good enough for him. Back in Tron world.
Tron. Let's deadly disc this shit up.
Do you remember who's in there?
Guy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't remember. That was just a logical guess.
I suppose. I always think the stakes are unclear in a scene where we don't know who we're talking about. We don't know why the two characters are acting that way. And they're whispering lines to each other.
Like, have you ever seen anybody who saw like a small child or a small puppy and said, "It's so cute, I want to spush their face"? That's what she did to him at the end of that scene. Smushed his face. Remember that head that exploded? Let's keep fucking around with that. We're aliens.
And this is again, it's like if this is the alien origin story, you're just taking a big left turn that gets us further away from that than we already are. Well, you killed them just now when you stuck a needle in their head and tried to bring them back to life. The amount
of fucking slimy shit this robot's willing to touch.
What do you think about the HDMI shaped doorways? It's like a HDMI outlet.
That's true.
Wonder whether it was.
But I'm also just realizing, you know, we see this stupid scene between him and Charlize, and you can kind of figure out that they're probably talking about Guy
Yeah.
and that shenanigans are up to. And think about that first movie, the reveal of Ian Holm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like there were stakes in that moment.
Yeah.
No stakes in in this moment. Like, this is the part where this scientist is really dumb. Don't drink anything he fucking offers you. Meanwhile, back in the Scooby-Doo episode.
I know. I mean, what they're talking about is fairly profound, but it's that lack of character clarity. Like, I don't understand what the scene's about.
Yeah.
Other than, to get those lines in about meeting your maker and that kind of stuff.
Those things are still churning about.
It's like a Holocaust painting. People like, why is that? Well, I was gonna say, why is that still the go-to reference in 2080 whatever, 2090
Right.
whatever? But he's about to play a Stephen Stills song on an accordion, so. And there's a ping. Yeah. It's like the meaning of life. There's the machine that goes bing.
They keep asking, what do you mean?
What do you mean a ping? I mean, it
What do you
literally
mean a
sounds
ping?
like a ping.
What do you mean a life form? You guys are all scientists, right?
Allegedly. Nothing suspicious about that.
What do you mean a glitch?
That'd be a better line if American people use the word bugger.
Mm-hmm.
Such lack of thought gone into this.
You're so offended.
Well, yeah, it makes
so
no sense.
Quietly upset.
Idris Elba is British.
Yep.
They're making him speak like an American and giving him British-specific dialogue to say.
Yeah.
How can he give a good performance under those conditions?
He cannot, just like everybody else in this movie. And these actors, no slouches. Come on. So maybe him.
Not Tom Hardy?
Not Tom Hardy. I got to tell you, it really just bums me out. Why is he so bummed? We found exactly what we came here for. I hate my life. This is his problem? He just feels like an orphan?
Well, it turns out his problem is that his wife can't get pregnant. After all that.
Damn it. Which you would have known if you were studying with me instead of drinking alien juice given to you by fucking David the robot.
These are big conclusions to jump to an hour
Right?
after you made contact with a
Right?
new species.
Anybody else watching this with us completely fucking bored? Don't worry, just over an hour to go.
God. This movie is like
Glacial.
yeah. I
Where'd
don't
his
even know what
hand
you're
go?
saying. I don't even know what you're saying.
Right.
Speak up.
Plus his hand went down. Thought he was gonna finger her for a second in the middle of this tearful speech.
Well,
See, whoa.
He does. Well, I mean, he does. He tentacles her.
For fuck's sake.
Literally. Some of his eye tentacle gets in. They're making squid.
She was so upset she went and changed her clothes.
That's how you know she's. Yeah, she looks upset, right?
Always.
But apparently, that's not what this scene is about. Idris Elba will tell us what's happening.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
You could just say, "Hey, trying to get laid," so we know that that's what this scene is about, because there's no evidence that that's what this scene was about. Because it looks like two lamps are talking to each other.
But not about electricity.
No, with no electricity. Don't bring your accordion. I can't be the only person who heard a reference to Stephen Stills and thought, out of all the music from the 20th century that would that would survive, Stephen Stills.
Why would these two go back to this room? They were so scared on the outside of this room that they tried to go back to the ship.
They deserve to die. And there's a reason why in Alien that they didn't leave anyone behind, because this is what it would end up being. It's just a penis vagina snake.
Oh, this is the scene that really, really pissed me off. So I'm going to get in close for a good look. Because what could possibly go wrong?
It looks a little bit like a penis. But when you get closer to it, looks like those cloners from Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
It's a vagina.
See, that is not the appropriate reaction to what's happening. That is a defensive position by that animal.
Even H.R. Geiger had subtler ways to bring sexual subtext into the Alien movies.
I know, right?
Than a penis vagina snake.
No, you're surprised? He's now finally surprised.
Hard to believe that, like, scientific method would change so much that the first thing you do is stick your hand in.
Right.
Everyone knows you put your hand in. Remember when John Hurt got attacked by a face hugger?
Yeah. Remember how great and efficient that was?
And then imagine the least good, most unintentionally funny version of that.
Fuck.
So much happens to their faces and bodies then, and yet there's no visceral hit to anything that happens.
No. Yeah. There's no sense of even uh-oh. He done gone give her an alien baby.
This is another moment which should be like pure body horror. It's like, think of what Cronenberg could do with this, or
right.
Even the Final Destination movies.
Right.
Ridley Scott needs to get a body horror tutorial from himself.
He needs to go visit his younger self. Who lies in bed naked, balling up the sheets to cover their vagina and their boobs only?
Well, when you go around, when your underwear is bandages, maybe the standards of nudity have changed.
All right.
That's that's giving them too much credit. Going out again.
What could possibly go wrong?
So David's on his own.
Shouldn't they have equipment that tells them exactly where they are?
So their mission now is to get Evil Ian and Baby Spall back. And David is there to do reconnaissance. David's there to... Basically, so there's like secret missions within secret missions.
Right.
I feel like they did that in Aliens with a lot more grace. Like, we didn't know what Paul Reiser was up to until late on, even though we knew he was up to something.
Right.
David's just like,
well, and also
go and get another canister. Oh, by the way, I took a canister.
Yeah. But what works about that is A, the casting, because Paul Reiser seems so benign, but also the manner in which he chooses to try and do what he does.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
you know, Ripley and Newt just wake up with two huggers in the fucking room with them. That's
Mhm.
cold shit.
Yeah. And I suppose the difference is in this movie, how would you know someone wasn't a complete dick? Because they're all
Because they're all dicks.
They're all just there's no one in this movie has any degree of positivity about them.
You don't get to root for anybody in this movie.
No. Root for the tentacle thing that kills them all. That's what I root for. Here's a question: Do you think the Ian Holm or Lance Hendrickson model of this android, which, bear in mind, are the advanced models, could figure out how this spaceship works? Nothing suggests to me that they could master that. And yet they are the
more advanced models.
Right. Still got his helmet off.
I got my helmet off. Don't worry about me.
So whatever happens to you now, it's your own fault. Finally.
Stop.
Someone who doesn't want to touch something. Where have you been all this time, Idris Elba? Been playing a fucking accordion in the cockpit.
Instead of down here in the cave talking common sense. Doesn't matter. Both fucked.
They're both equally objectionable. One of you put your helmet up.
Seriously.
I mean, like, we live in a world now where
that guy just got turned over with smoke coming out of his mouth. Put your fucking mask on.
We currently live in a world where even people vaccinated from a virus that caused a global pandemic wear masks when they talk to each other.
Right. Yeah, he's okay. See, this is the moment.
Why is she going outside?
I don't know. But even
to flamethrower him.
At least Sigourney Weaver had the common sense to keep everybody locked outside.
That's right, yeah. And again, it's the same. It's just like a more melodramatic, less affecting version.
How does
of the same
David
scene.
know how to unlock all the doors? And I mean, you already talked about starting up this fucking spaceship, but this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Looks like a chair. I'll give him that. Sitting in it makes sense.
Maybe these holograms will tell me what to do.
Yeah. Hello, human robot. This is how you start our ship.
Don't have to get out of the way. They're not real. For a movie that has so many holograms in, they don't really understand how holograms work. You know, like you've got Guy Pearce talking to people who aren't there when he records the message.
Yeah.
As if they are there. And likewise here, I don't think literally everything that he needs to know would light up.
Oh, God.
To be honest, I've seen IMAX documentaries that are more visually spectacular than this.
Yeah. Ridley Scott.
This looks more like the nightlight that I'm using here.
Yeah, it does.
I'll reenact this. There you go. For those of you who are just watching us and not the film, why you would be doing that, I don't know. Here you go. That's what happens in this scene.
Ridley Scott has grossly underestimated the sense of wonder this scene is creating.
This reminds me of the what do you call it? Star Trek the Motion Picture. It's like they're just docking. Mm-hmm. That's literally what's happening.
That's all they're doing.
Earth. Why would Earth be the last one to disappear? For our benefit?
Yeah. That must be the good sarcophagus. Anybody scared? Me neither.
Well, we know that he needs to play a flute to open it, so if he doesn't have a flute in his hand, nothing's going to happen. He's got his helmet on. And he's got a really good track record of keeping his helmet on.
Right. A point you could have made clear by not putting the door down.
So operatic.
He did ask me to do it.
There's like zero restraint in directing, acting, writing. Just made a real meal of that scene.
Oh, and let's fade to white.
As we know from the Lego Batman movie, all important movies end with white.
I think it's safe to say there was a contagion. 'Cause
It's weird how at no point she says we shouldn't have taken our helmets off.
Mm-hmm.
She's pregnant.
What?
Feels like a soap opera cliffhanger. No, it's not. We saw it happen in Alien 3.
We saw you having sex.
Happened to Ripley in Alien 3. We've all seen it. What does a traditional fetus look like? It comes out saying, "Hey, lady, cover up. Where's the father? You better be married."
The
Yeah,
old,
like that'll work.
That's the old plan.
But it's... Ebola. Kid stuff.
Right.
Remember when we thought that was what would get us? Good times. Good times.
Good times. I guess
the old poke the cheek anesthetic trick. There's no evidence she's totally doped. That's on you.
Yeah.
That's on you. Should have poked her with a knife or something. Not just gone like that to her cheek. But where's she gonna go?
Right.
Like we don't. If only there was a
where
piece
could
of
she possibly?
It's like an Alien movie for anyone who ever like upgraded their health plan. Take me to a better hospital. One with newer equipment.
Oh, she's got an exposition dump what buttons she's pushing.
It's all right. I've already got the bandages for my wounds.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
I'm wearing them as underwear.
They're my bra and my panties.
I like that Ridley Scott, not content with the Sigourney Weaver butt crack in Alien, has like doubled down on the female exploitation.
I like that nobody followed her into the room. You just know that Ridley Scott thought that this was the money maker scene for this movie.
And once again, I would go as far to say that he's using James Cameron's version of Aliens imagistically here. But he doesn't seem to have a problem with that. I'm sure James Cameron does. Uva. It's gonna pull out like a teddy bear.
Yeah. Right now, she's the human equivalent of a bowling alley game.
I'd love it if the alien that it pulled out was the one from Toy Story. You are our leader. The claw.
The claw.
Ugh.
That's gonna leave a mark.
It's objectively scary and disgusting, but I'm getting none of that.
No.
It just looks like...
Oh, Jesus.
It just looks like you've gone to like an Asian supermarket where they have those live squid.
Mm-hmm.
No scarier than that for me.
Nope.
Hey, maybe that's how COVID started. Maybe that's the wet market that it started in. If in doubt, freeze it.
Oh, man.
What you need now is Billy D. Williams to come out and saying, is alive, perfectly preserved.
I was thinking more along the lines of, is there something wrong with your alien? Yeah, every time there's a problem right outside the ship, these guys open the door.
It's like a safety training film for astronauts.
Yeah.
Hey, remember that guy we burnt? Oh, it's not. It's Evil Ian. It was a spider person now.
Oh, shit.
It looks like that Jedi with the big head.
That's gonna hurt.
It's kind of funny that alien looks so much like just a squid.
Uh-huh.
And they actually used shellfish in the original Alien when they're dissecting the alien.
Uh-huh.
It's just like stuff they got from a seafood market.
Oysters and
yet that the CGI version looks more like actual seafood than the the real seafood. I'd love it if that guy turned around and went, I'm not Chance. I don't know. I haven't been given a name yet.
I'm not Jansen. No, I'm not ready. This is why we keep the door closed.
Also, why is any like act of violence involving that guy so comical? Like it's like a Buster Keaton movie anytime anything happens to him. Great, some more people we haven't met.
Yeah, seriously.
That's what this movie needs, a bigger cast. You kind of think that Guy Pearce will look less ridiculous when he's in the flesh and not as a hologram, but the opposite is true. He looks more credible
More
as a
ridiculous.
hologram. Yeah. Washing his feet. I mean, come on. It's like religious imagery 101.
Right. Plus, he's totally going John Hurt on us. He's
true. Oh, wouldn't that be great if that part was John Hurt? Right age, already associated with the franchise. Already done Crystal Skull, so we know he's not above this kind of shit.
Right. Did he say my stick?
My stick, yeah.
All right. Very good then.
Meet these engineers, will I? Who'd have thought we could misinterpret that cave drawing?
That
of a man pointing at
five
circles.
spears.
3 fucking circles. There really is only one way to read that. You talking to her or the audience?
Nobody knows.
Why are we even talking about faith? It's a science fiction movie.
Yeah.
I remember Paul Scheer saying that one of the common elements of bad movies is people splashing water on their face. It's a scene you see in a lot of bad movies. I think he's right.
That's interesting. We're gonna have to put that one to the test.
It's just like, you know, like it's just the lack of imagination.
Mm-hmm.
You want to show someone trying to get themselves together, but you don't want an interesting way of doing it. She looks like she's getting on the Tron bike too.
Yeah.
The Tronsicle. Tell me.
Please.
Yeah. Okay. Military, okay. Why not? Okay.
Did you notice he seemed not to know how to say that word? Vases. It's like he wanted to say vases. Paused.
Also, it looks like just before he came into the scene, Ridley Scott came in with new pages. Almost like, nobody knows what's going on in this movie, so you've got to tell everyone. At the beginning of the scene, go on. Because he comes in like, did you hear? Did you hear?
Yeah, right.
The engineers have... Also, where's he got that information from?
From burning up his friend.
Did he find another cave drawing? No. Even though you just told us that Earth is already that.
Man, somebody just sit him in a car. Does he have to walk?
Do you think part of the reason they made him up so heavily is to make him look like Dave Bowman at the end of 2001?
This is my punching fist. Oh no, you don't say.
The pregnancy stuff and the whole family thing, it's like pure space opera.
No. But they just sold it there like it was the biggest reveal in the history of cinema.
Yeah. And as
they're like, this is I'm your father.
Plus, and there's only two possibilities. She's his daughter or she's a robot.
Yeah.
That's it. And we already know she's not a robot.
But the fact that he is
asked her outright.
The fact that he is her father makes the whole like sexual feeling of her wondering about this man earlier in the movie very uncomfortable.
Yeah. Maybe it's another, make it up as you go along.
Yeah.
Started as a robot, then she was his girlfriend. No. And then ended up as his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Like as the drafts.
As the drafts went on, and somebody's like, oh, we'll have to change the dialogue. No, it works for a daughter.
Yeah. Perfectly breathable, as long as you don't mind getting an alien in your eye.
Because this has been a tragic mistake we've done over and over again throughout the whole movie.
Is she coming back for the third time? For some reason, the better dramatic choice seems to be that you go out once and you either stay there or you come back. Like this going back and forth is so uninteresting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it looks like something we recognize from the first movie.
You can see the Death Star. But I assumed you already knew that.
Mm-hmm.
And what does rotating it do that makes that obvious? But if you look at it from this angle, it's exactly the same. It's a spaceship!
Again.
Yeah. Seems like every character is able to do something which is way beyond their shown capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's more vague. Can you stop answering a question with a question?
God damn it.
He might as well have just said, you'll find out in the next movie.
Mm-hmm. I believe I can.
Hmm. So why isn't that flute controlled? It's Bane. No, you meet your reckoning. We've got not Tom Hardy and not Bane.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always a possibility that this guy's going to go fucking nuts.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
How does he know the alien
How
language?
does he know this language? Because it was on the walls?
Joke's on him. What he actually said in the language was, please rip my head off.
Yeah.
My blood is made of milk.
And the baby's back. She's happy. That's all she ever wanted. Dad dead.
Displaying the kind of emotion that that we expect from an Oscar winner who then went on to do Aeon Flux.
Yes.
The anus is opened. And the thing inside it, again, looks a little bit like a xenomorph. Fucking hell.
There we go.
Do you think it would have been better if this was the actual thing they found in Alien? Because I don't think it is it?
Well,
I mean, it is, but it's the same thing, but it's not the actual one they find.
Not the actual one?
I don't think so. Because I don't think
forget.
this is not the planet they come to. I don't think.
Oh, I thought this was the planet. No?
I don't think so.
Maybe that's the next movie. I don't trust any species that creates an elephant helmet.
Not a big Hannibal fan, huh? or of Hindu gods.
What the hell was that, he says. He asks.
Wait, wasn't this far away from the ship? Did they move the ship? Wasn't the entrance to the cave like at a distance from the ship?
Maybe they're oh god.
You telling me they haven't even thought about geography?
Well, I think, yeah, I was just gonna say, I think this part is underneath, but in front of the mountain.
As long as it makes sense.
But they're Charlize is like, wait, I'm in charge of my dad's company. Wait.
What will Yutani think about this? What would she make those noises? So she's got 2 years of life. Is that what he just said?
Yep.
So we call back to that moment.
We got to call back to the bet.
That was worth that was worth wasting Benedict Wong's time for. The alien ship looks like a turd.
Oh, oh fuck. He even went for slow motion, Tom.
Leave no cinematic stone unturned. Wait, she got out of a pod?
Yeah.
Isn't that the only place she's safe, in the pod?
No.
Did
This
none of
isn't
you
how they find the ship when they get there in Alien?
Maybe it is. I don't know if that's worse or better at this point. Why didn't they anticipate that this would fall down on them? Why didn't you stay in a pod? Idiot. They deserve everything they get.
Everything that happens, they do deserve.
He said 2 years of life in the pod. Take the pod.
Well, the pod was the thing he launched that was separate.
Okay.
Oh, for the love of God.
How much of this is left to fall? Can any more of it fall? I remember that shot from Not Your Alien Movie.
Oh, is it almost over?
No, we've got the one scary moment in the movie to come. and it comes at about 150 of a 2-hour movie.
Is that when the white guy runs at her?
No.
That's all I
I gotta
also
climb into
remember.
this giant HDMI outlet. I'll just press the button for give me more than 2 minutes oxygen.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it's, fortunate. What if that was the button for the chicken soup machine?
Yeah.
I gotta say, flat screens have really improved in the future.
Right?
It's like you get a dent in my flat screen, it would break the whole thing.
My mind's starting to wander back to the moment when the giant started killing everyone, and that Guy Pearce's plan was to just convince the alien to do whatever I want you to do.
Yeah. Ah, there you go. Tentacle at the window. It's good. It's a good jump scare. At
It
150.
did not scare me.
It's good. I mean, if it was a whole movie full of scares like that, I'd be happy.
All right.
This is David's head. David's head calling for Elizabeth Shaw. There he is.
What do you mean, who's coming for you? Big risk. Wow.
Is that looks like
they made it into a huge snapping vagina.
Right.
This guy does not seem as philosophical as the first guy who fell over the waterfall seemed to be.
Right. I mean, all you really need is like the implication of sex. You don't need to have like.
That's one big ass face hugger.
Right. Well, here we go. More alien resurrection. Clouds. Actually, the ending is pretty alien resurrection.
Yeah.
Isn't that exactly what happens? It's like a humanoid alien. Do what anymore?
Do what?
You've
done everything. Did she even close the door behind her? But help me out here.
Well, there'll never be another movie. Without knowing, I'm pretty sure I'm the only thing people are going to like about this movie. Should we go on an unspecified mission? We'll figure out what it is when we write the next movie.
Yeah. My head's over here.
It'd be great if his body just waved from the other side of the room. I also have some shark repellent spray.
Taking off helmets.
My utility belt. Yeah, it has batarangs, everything you might need.
Yep.
After all this, we're still doing religious imagery. It should be a doddle compared to that speaking an alien language. In 5 years.
Right.
Okay.
Based on what happened in this movie, they were right.
They're both talking themselves into and out of doing a sequel. I deserve to know why. The answer is irrelevant.
Oh, God.
I do like the little smile he gives as they zip up the bag.
Didn't this suit only have 2 minutes of oxygen?
They put it. I guess you put it back on the oxygen charger.
All right.
Yeah, this is a Christmas movie. And it ends with a woman and a broken robot.
Oh, boy. Oh, don't you play
Here we go.
any kind of music.
Here's the trailer for the next Alien movie.
Right.
Isn't this edited like it's a trailer?
Absolutely.
Also, when the alien is born, it kind of looks like that CGI Pinocchio that freaked the Martin Landau one that really freaked people out.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Pinocchio.
Remember what you wanted to see? Here it is as we roll credits.
And that's why I have legs.
Oh, God.
Wow. She doesn't make it into the next movie, does she? She gets
I don't think so.
She gets Michael Beamed. Right? Right? Because Fassbender's in it, isn't he?
Yeah, he's in it.
And then there was a digital short
There was?
that she was in, which kind of I love that this part of the credits is great. It's like have
based
to
on
acknowledge.
elements created
I
by.
know.
Ooh.
It's like essentially saying, yeah, we ruined a lot of people's stuff. Yeah, that xenomorph is really cute.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think? A little bit too cute.
Yeah.
For what it's supposed to be at this point.
Even when its second mouth kind of comes out there, it looked like it was smiling.
Yeah, exactly. And also, there's something about the, I don't know, the unscientific nature with which the xenomorph is born. Like, it implants itself in an engineer, and then a alien with legs comes. Like, it's like, it reminds me of Homer Simpson and the squid bulb. You know, that Japanese soapbox logo that's just a squid
Right.
and a squid and a light bulb mixed together. Yeah. And it's like, that's about as much thought as they put into the science of this.
Well, and is it just because it's a engineer, like the big white guy at the end, that it's not, that we don't get the first stage? I forget.
But that's
it comes out kind of fully formed.
I mean, I always assumed it was just, that's why next time we see Alien, it has legs. I thought that was because it's a specific.
I can't remember if there's like a linchpin to in the next sequel. If that's further explained, I don't know.
Okay, well, I hope they revisit that.
All I know is that from top to bottom, start to finish, this movie is an unmitigated disaster.
So it didn't grow for you?
It did not.
Good.
Writing, terrible.
That's the right reaction.
Acting, terrible. Directing, terrible. Just across the board, all bad ideas. From you know, it's not like this has a lack of talent.
No. It's just all misplaced. I think they should teach this in film school back to back with Alien to show how you can mishandle how the same person can mishandle the same material.
Right.
Because you could sort of see in real time how a scene should work and how it's done here.
And that's the thing I remember, I remember when I first saw this movie, my blood was boiling. And those feelings kept coming back up when you were just seeing sophomoric choices made.
Yeah.
What reasonable, like, biological scientist or any man who studies animals sees a huge cobra-like tentacle,
penis
vagina stand up in a defensive position and gets closer and says it's fine and everything's going to be okay and you're cute. Like, it's dumb on a level that just is, go fuck yourself.
Yeah. It's the characters go from wooden to cartoony.
Yeah.
Like, they just run the gamut. Sometimes even the same characters.
They go from wooden to broad to cartoon.
Yeah. And nothing in between.
Right.
No one has a sane conversation in the entirety of the movie. There we go.
No.
Wayland Core. Building better worlds since Well, you can check out that website if you want to.
Wow.
So it's gone down in your estimation, if anything?
It's the same. It's the same. It's
Yeah.
exactly as stupid as I remembered it.
Yeah, I had the same feeling. Some movies you're wrong about the first time you see them, and then some movies you're completely right about.
Right.
You've given exactly the amount of credit that it deserved.
Right.
It's certainly. I mean, I can't remember what I liked about it in 2012, but I don't remember being as offended
Really?
as I have the last couple of times.
Yeah, and you went up to me because you.
Well, it's just it's like. I just wanted to get a read on what kind of a bad movie it was going to be.
Uh-huh.
And I still don't have a read on that because it's every kind of bad movie except an enjoyably bad movie.
Yes.
And I would put that on the poster.
Right.
You can take that to the bank.
It's every kind of bad movie except an enjoyable bad movie. Tom Steward, Lonesome Whistle Productions. Amazing.
I guess I could also put something like, I mean, I'm not the director of Blade Runner, but this is shit. And I mean, so it's interesting because I haven't seen Covenant. I haven't seen the Alien versus Predators movies. With that, even
you haven't seen those?
No, even knowing that those movies have a very bad rap, I'd put this right at the bottom of the Aliens pile right now.
Yeah. Because there is some we know we're making bad movies in the Aliens versus Predators genre. I think.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I'm talking in the abstract here, but
it's funny.
Those movies don't have a sense of their own importance, right?
Oh no.
In the same way this movie does. That's a greater sin. That's a greater sin.
That's the greatest sin.
Yeah.
But that's the other thing that I think that's why this one goes to the bottom of the pile, even under Resurrection.
Oh, you think Resurrection is the worst?
No, I'm saying this goes.
No, before this.
No, I think this one's below that one.
Right, but before this was made, you would have said Resurrection's like the nadir of the series.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know, but I have similar feelings about Resurrection. I mean, that's 1997. I can remember seeing previews. I can remember being so super excited. It was
when will we learn?
Yeah, it was Thanksgiving weekend. We ate a huge Thanksgiving dinner, roommates and I, like people came over, and then we all went to go see that movie and were dumbfounded by how bad it was. Like, couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Very upsetting. But that movie, there's like that movie, there's not a lot of hubris in that movie except from how slick they thought it was going to look. Like aliens underwater and swimming and that kind of shit,
Yeah, stuff they couldn't do.
Right. But by the time you get to the end with sucking that sucking that fucking thing out the window.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. And that was the ennui alien. So, I mean, that was just hysterical. But this movie, this movie ups its game in the self-importance category to a point that's unforgivable.
Yeah. It really, it's the kind of movie that should you try and attack it, if you were to tell the director it's like this is a piece of shit, that his defense will probably be like, oh, you just don't understand it. It's working on a level you don't even understand. Right?
But my response would be, it's not working on a level you should understand.
Yeah. No, I know. I think that,
like, a basic storytelling level.
Yeah. I think that all the philosophical, theological stuff is a smokescreen for, we don't have a movie that hangs together very well. Let's find some way to let's like find another level that we can pitch this at.
Now, I know this is going to be, I don't mean for this to be pejorative, especially since, hey, you and I are getting up there in age, but I mean, you ever notice that when a big time director or even a big time actor starts saying things like, I wanted to make a movie that my kids would enjoy, that those movies invariably start sucking? If that makes sense.
Kids don't enjoy them.
Yeah, right.
Because they're about taxes and
So is there something in getting older and maybe having kids in which, like, you don't have the edge that you once do? You know, you're not as brash. We're not, like, as we get older, none of us are as brash usually as we were when we were younger. You start realizing that you're not going to live forever. You don't take the risks that you used to. Does that apply to filmmaking?
In terms of freshness, sure. It comes
like Ridley Scott literally forgot what tension was.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is astonishing.
Yeah.
And it's not like he can't still make good movies today. He's made good movies, as he's, you know what I mean? So
though? That's what I don't. I mean, apart from Alien and Blade Runner, like, a lot of people like Gladiator. I've never cared for it.
I've never liked it as much as other people have, but I don't think it's a bad movie either. I just don't think it's a great. It's certainly not Best Picture, but
I mean, he's, compared to other directors of his that have the same reputation as him, he doesn't have the titles to back it up in the same way. He has couple of definitive movies, and you can't take that away from anyone. But, what the kind of garbage that he's buried that under since, should that be what we're looking to for, for an example of what he's normally capable of? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
I guess it's also the idea that he wants to,
because he did The Martian. I really like that movie.
Right. The idea of something fundamentally flawed about going back to a property that you abandoned a long time ago. And I guess you see it with a lot of directors. The natural instinct is that because you're going back to what is essentially the same movie. You're remaking that movie, but you don't want to admit to yourself you're remaking it, so you make every scene different in tone or style, even though it's the same premise of a scene. And that's what I feel here. It's like there's so much emphasis on. But actually, I wonder whether it's not. Might be giving it too much credit.
Like in the effort to make it different, he made it not good.
Right. That actually perhaps part of. I mean, there's obviously there's things that should be suspenseful but aren't, and that's just bad filmmaking. But there are other moments where I sort of think I don't want this scene to be suspenseful because that's what you'd expect, and that's what you've already seen. So we're going to go for a different tone, different feel.
Yeah.
And I think so much of that's at play. And, if you put yourself in the mindset of people going back to something that they've done before they're going to be like, why would we do it again? You've already seen it. I've already done it. Let's do
Sure.
something different. And I guess in the end, it's about what you do with that. That thing that is different, that decides whether it's successful or not.
Yeah, but I mean, we have the perfect example in the first sequel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%. Like, yeah.
And that feels like more like Aliens feels closer to a movie that he wanted to make for this movie than his original Alien.
Yeah, except he obviously doesn't know what to do with a big ensemble cast.
That much is very clear.
Like,
because we have two guys talking about their bet as they're about to commit suicide.
Like, without too much more screen time, what James Cameron does to individualize each of the characters.
Yeah.
There's about the same number of characters, right, in Aliens as there are here.
I think there's even more in this.
I think there's even more, yeah. And you realize it's a kind of art of characterization, and if you don't, it's just like it's not that much work. Like, it can just be a gesture or a line or a look into my eye kind of thing like that.
Right.
But you need it. Like it's like.
Well, but it also
we know everything. Like, we know everything about. We need to know everything about that character in a single whatever.
In a single beat. In a single beat. Yeah.
And if you don't do that, what you've got is like an anonymous group of people,
which is what you have here.
Happen to be on the same spaceship,
right?
Learning nothing about each other. It's baffling to me.
So going back to your film school reference, maybe you have to look at all three. Aliens, and this.
Yeah, well, I mean, the whole series is just fascinating in terms of how, and I'm sure we'll do it at some point on the podcast for real. I don't know whether we'll go back to this. I mean,
we will.
Well, you could easily make an argument that it's the exception. It's not part of the series.
Come on, though. I mean, it's a prequel. It's a prequel sequel. That's what it is. For the purposes of what we're doing here today, it fits the bill. Let's be clear.
But I
don't know how we could not do it for the show.
But they put I mean, each movie puts so much stress on authorship, like a different authorship. So the idea, I mean, this is like a first in the series in that's normally in a series you get a director doing one or two movies, and then other people take over. But here it really, if with every movie there's distinct authorship in each of them, for better and worse.
Mm-hmm.
And here's Ridley Scott going back to reclaim the original vision, or at least in in the abstract, that's what he's doing.
Right.
So it's a real gear change for this series. And he directs the next movie.
Yeah.
So this is the weird thing, like watching this movie, I was like, who do you think you are, Ridley Scott? Like you just directed one of these. And the things we know about the Alien, the things that stand out from the Alien franchise are in all of these movies, not just Alien.
Yeah.
So when he's recreating shots from Aliens and stuff, I'm like, nah, that's not yours.
Stop that.
That's not a callback, is it?
Not cool, bro.
Deal. Because no one has the and the authorship of Alien itself is so fragmented anyway. You've got Geiger on one side, you've got Dan O'Bannon, Walter Hill, so it's kind of nebulous anyway. So it might also be that kind of question of that you have with the Star Wars movies, and is the prequels, do we not like the prequels because it's pure Lucas with nobody telling him no or
Right.
bringing anything else to the table like it was with the original trilogy?
Sure.
Are we just seeing what Ridley Scott would do if money wasn't an object and if Walter Hill wasn't saying that's not how you write a script, or you know what I mean?
Stop that.
Stop that, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I wonder that too. I mean, you know, he has collaborators here, but from a screenwriting point of view, he gets a writer who brings nothing but bad dramatic habits on his side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, some of the dialogue here wouldn't even make it into Lost, you know, which is not renowned for its great dialogue or plotting or any, you know.
Do you hate that show?
Sorry?
Do you hate that show?
No, I don't hate that show, but I just think, like,
because the first season of that show to me was revelatory. Like, I loved that first season. I thought that was some of the best television, certainly at that time.
Yeah.
That first season, that show was probably the best show on TV.
I don't think that, but I don't object. It doesn't. I don't really understand the appeal, but I don't. You know, I don't think you could even get away with some of the stuff that happens here in a TV show that forgives a lot of, you know, bad dialogue and bad plotting, because there's so much of it, and it's about the whole, not like the parts. But here it's all whole, to bring it back to Lady Chew.
Yep.
It's an all whole
movie.
Oh, so yeah. It's really, so I'm sorry everyone that we couldn't synthesize any joy from this particular
that's a tough one
outing. Yeah,
because it's just not deliciously bad. Like, you know, it's not like watching Highlander 2: The Quickening.
No. Yeah. It's it's strange, and I mean, you said at the beginning, I don't know, did you say it looks slick, or I don't think it looks good. Like,
well, I mean, there's an obvious production value to it, but
I still think it looks cheap.
Do you?
There's something about it that I just can't shake, that feeling of cheapness from everything. And maybe, maybe things have really advanced in 10 years. It's possible, but I do remember thinking that the engineers was an amazing effect when I first saw it.
Oh, okay.
So maybe I've just, something about that smoothness. I'd never seen that kind of smoothness in a digital body before.
Character, yeah.
So maybe I can give it that credit, but I don't feel that way now. Maybe everything's smoothed out and that novelty is
worn off.
But every time a tentacle goes into a mouth, it looks like, you know, Babylon 5. Or that kind of like early 90s CGI.
On that front, I'll agree with you. I was thinking more, you know, the Earth separating as she's walking back out, the early shots of space, like all of that looks good, I think.
Yeah.
But you're not wrong about tentacle shit. And I think, you know, the scene to bring up now in that vein is the abortion scene. Because there's a part of me that feels like he had that idea in his head since he directed the first Alien.
And it isn't, well, and it's also, you know, David Fincher does it in Alien 3, which again makes me think he's not seen Alien 3.
Right.
Because, not that it's done particularly well there, but same idea, same imagery. It kind of, I mean, it's not an abortion, but it kind of sort of is.
Yeah, that one's different. Well, you're speaking to the end of the movie?
Yeah, when
Yeah. But I didn't know if you meant like when she, because doesn't she have a moment where she cameras it and sees it too?
oh, I'm
Like
sure.
she
Yeah.
goes to the ship, her old ship. Anyway, but that's also, because that's different. It's like, it's not medical at all. It's, I mean, she's literally falling off a tower, just trying to hold on to the thing. But that scene to me seems like, that was his money shot. I mean, he was going for, this is going to be so visceral, people won't know what to do with it.
Right. Yeah.
And we're just yawning.
And it's the thing that, and that speaks to exactly what we're talking about. Like, lightning can't strike twice, and the original chestburster scene from Alien is something that kind of the way that affected people in the audience crept
including
up.
The actors.
Right. It kind of crept up. I mean, I don't think it, that's, I don't know. The scene isn't directed in a way with the same level of, oh, you're going to love this.
Yeah, no.
Like, so maybe the thing to do is to find that as you're making it, not, as you say,
right,
all your eggs into, literally all your fetuses, put all your fetuses into one basket.
In one basket.
As they, because I absolutely agree with you. It's like, this is the sequence that people will remember, and it leaves me completely cold. And the only thing in the movie that scares me is such a simple jump scare. There is the tentacle that goes on the door, and it's that same, that's, even though that seems like a really simple jump scare, the art of that is actually very complicated, because it's about timing.
Yeah.
And it's about leaving just long enough so you think it's not going to happen, and then it does happen, and that's where the scare comes from. So simply, the idea of aborting an alien is not inherently horrific, in terms of, like, it won't. You've actually got to think about it from a visual perspective and an editing perspective, and I think that they're reliant on the fact that just the very idea of it will repulse people, not the execution.
Yeah.
Whereas the tentacle scene is exactly the opposite. It's like, this is not a big deal. It's just a tentacle against a window, but in execution, it's scarier than anything else in the movie, which is, I don't think, what was intended.
It's hard to say what was intended, other than my fury.
A theological discussion about the creation of life.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's if you told me that was the original pitch, and they tent-poled an alien movie onto it, I'd believe you.
Right. Combine two story ideas.
Yeah.
Like the Die Hard effect.
Well, it's like, except that worked.
Yeah.
And again, it's like, well, it doesn't promise. I don't know. I can't remember in pre-publicity how much was made of the fact that this is or isn't an alien movie, because obviously the title alludes to the fact that it's not
right
part of the series.
Because there was a recurring quote that Ridley Scott himself had, wasn't there? It was like, this isn't an Alien sequel, it's something else. I forget what he would say, though.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting to to see what, because I mean, when I went to see it, my expectations were purely this is going to be an Alien prequel. But literally minutes of the movie is spent doing that prequel work, and the rest is an entirely new story that seems to be taking place in an entirely different universe.
Right.
Because there's no compatibility between this world and the one we see in the other Alien movies.
In the when we start off
if this is the past, I could imagine this being the future, like beyond Alien Resurrection.
Yes, exactly. That's how it feels.
You know, whatever happened when they got back to Earth.
Oy vey.
So.
All right.
Yeah.
Anything left for you, friend? I'm done. I'm done with this movie. Until we have to tackle it again, of course.
Well, I just wish I had the enthusiasm for this that Ethan Hunt, bad guy, has for rocks.
Yeah, I know.
I'd love to have that passion for one thing that he has for rocks.
I'll say.
Even though, as you pointed out, even in the movie, he's surrounded by rocks and yet still doesn't seem to be happy. Like rocks he's never seen before in his life.
And he's a rock guy who loses his way.
Yeah, all I'd say is
the rocks.
Sleep tight, try not to bugger each other.
Perfect. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for the Prometheus Watch Along. By all means, tell us what you think. Are we wrong? I don't think there's any possible way we're wrong. But you can find us. You send us a message on Tom's got his lights going on Facebook, on Instagram or Twitter. Send us an email to everythingsequel@gmail.com. We're out of Facebook jail, so go ahead and message us. For Tom Steward of Lonesome Whistle Productions, I am Michael Shantz of the How Dare You Awards. We'll have a brand new watch along for you next week. Not next week, next month. I'm excited, Tom. Say goodbye.
I'm excited to put this movie behind us.
Yes, I'm done.